Hello and welcome to the Awareness Podcast, offered to you by the Center for Awakening, where practical teachings meet everyday life. Each week, you'll find simple practices rooted in non-dual teachings, inviting you to rest as awareness itself and discover the peace that's already here. I'm Jody Agard, and I'm so grateful you're joining me today. Before we begin, a quick invitation from the Center for Awakening. The world trained you to forget, to take on roles, expectations, and limitations until they began to feel like who you are. But beneath all of that, your true self remains untouched, not something to fix or improve, but something to remember. In his new 2-part live series, The Crucial Identity Shift, Alan Cohen guides a profound return from the conditioned self you were taught to be, back to the truth of who you've always been. And from there, something real begins to shift, living in truth while navigating everyday life, transforming challenges into opportunities for awakening, staying spiritually centered, even in a chaotic world. That shift is possible now. We hope you'll join us, and you'll find the details and registration in the show notes. Hello and welcome to the Awareness Podcast, everyone. I'm really happy that you're here with us today. And I'm especially happy to be joined by Alan Cohen. Alan, welcome.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So for those who may be meeting Alan for the first time, Alan is a best-selling author of over 30 books, and he's a spiritual teacher whose work has really supported people for decades in reconnecting with peace and authenticity and just a deeper understanding of who they truly are, who we truly are. And Alan, something that I really appreciate about your work is that there's just such warmth and humanity in the way you teach. There's depth, but there's also a deep simplicity. And
Mm,
honestly, that feels really refreshing, especially in the times that we're in right now.
yes.
Um, so you have an upcoming 2-part series that starts on June 8th with the Center for Awakening called The Crucial Identity Shift. And when I read the description, it felt incredibly relevant because so many people seem just exhausted by the pressure of trying to be this someone, this false sense of self all of the time, trying to hold it together and trying to meet expectations and improve the self, trying to become more of this or less of this. And one thing that really stood out to me in your series description was the idea that we've been trained to believe we're something other than what we truly are. And I think so many people can really feel that internally, even if they can't fully articulate it yet. So, how does someone begin noticing that they've been living from this conditioned self rather than their true divine identity? I guess let's start there.
Good question. Yeah. Well, if you're not happy, you're not living from your true self. So it's very important to be honest about the pieces of our lives that are not giving us true satisfaction. And we have to ask the question, where have I given my power away to some external source? And who would I be instead if I were willing to be my true self? And they sound like simple questions, but they actually run really deep. And they form the pivot for transformation because the deeper you go into a lie, the more it hurts. And so we have to be honest about our pain and recognize this is not it. And the only natural question that follows is what is it instead? And then we head for what is it, then doors open that never would have opened if we were trying too hard to be something different.
Hmm. So, would you say that suffering often comes from trying to defend or maintain an identity that isn't actually who we are? Do you think that's where a lot of the suffering stems from?
Yeah, yeah. There's a Course in Miracles lesson. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. And really, the false self that we present to the world is a form of defense. We don't believe that we're enough as we are. And so we try to be something else, and then we drift even farther from who we really are. I do a lot of coaching, and I teach coaching. And one of the probably the most common theme among clients that causes their suffering is the belief I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not wealthy enough. And they all spring from I'm not enough. And so I suggest to those people to take the affirmation, I am enough, and I have enough, and I do enough. And in that shift, miracles happen. Because when you know you're enough, everything that you do becomes enough. If you don't know you're enough, nothing, nothing you do is enough.
All right.
Can
So,
can I give you a quick example before we go?
yes, I was just going to ask. I would love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Sure. One of my clients is a 60-ish-year-old woman who's very successful in business. She owns an international company, consulting company, and she has all kinds of degrees and on all kinds of committees and accolades. But she suffers from an anxiety that I should be doing more. And so it's like a constant treadmill of adding to her accolades and degrees. And so we trace back her life to her childhood. When she was about 6 years old, she took piano lessons. Her parents gave her piano lessons. And her father, who was a strict military man, sat on the piano bench with her while she was practicing. And he put a 50-cent piece on the piano, which in that time was a lot of money. And he said, if you can play this piece perfectly, then you get the 50 cents. Well, how often does a 6-year-old play a piece perfectly? So it was very, very rare that she got the reward. And so as a result of this conditioning, she developed the belief system that I can hardly ever do it enough to get the reward. And so there was this constant treadmill of trying to do more and more and more to get to 50%. There was all 50 cents that was always just dangling like a carrot just beyond her reach. And in coaching, we kind of got to the place where she realized that she was wonderful and enough and beautiful, even if she didn't play the piece perfectly. And when she got to that place of inner enoughness, she turned her business over to her son and she just consulted with it once in a while. She spent time at home with her husband and their farm. They had a little farm, and she became like a new person, all from shifting from I can never do enough to I already am enough.
Mm, yeah. And I'm sure that everyone listening has just a different flavor of that.
Yeah.
But that systemic, I'm not enough. And it sounds though you pointed her back not to necessarily this apparatus of the body self-identification is quote unquote enough,
Yeah.
but beyond the self. Would you?
That's a good point. I mean, the the body will never be enough. I mean,
Right.
you can never get enough food to keep you happy forever. You can never get enough sex to keep you happy forever. It's like all the body stuff has a momentary hit, but then you're back trying to get the next hit. So really, when you identify with your spirit instead of your physical form, and in A Course in Miracles tells us that perfection created me perfect. And so as spiritual beings, we're already whole, we're already beloved, we're already capable, we're already enough, and that's the shift we're looking for. And in our program, in our two programs on June 8th and 15th, we're going to go deeply into how do you facilitate that shift on a basis that's sustained? You know, we hear a lot about sustainability. How about a sustainable identity? I think we'll change the name of the course to that too.
There you
It's
go.
a sustainable identity. I like that phrase.
I love that. And it's, I guess, too, I love that what you're pointing to doesn't feel like it's about escaping life. It feels more just about learning how to live differently within this life, within this illusion. Because many people living and listening right now are, raising families and working demanding jobs and caring for others and just navigating stress. So, how do we remain connected to what's true while fully participating in everyday life?
Yeah, another really good question. Not that many people can or want to go up to a cave and meditate for 30 years, although I often fantasize about something like that.
Right.
But really, we have businesses, we have children, we have families, we have parents, people are taken care of. So I guess there's two answers. One is to take some time every day to recharge. And every spiritual path recommends some kind of meditation or prayer or affirmation, A Course in Miracles lesson. I have since I'm 22 years old, I have meditated every morning. Sometimes I miss, very rarely, but when I miss, I regret it. Because when I get my head on straight for 20 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever it is each morning, somehow I establish a frequency, a keynote that carries me through the day. So, and then again in the afternoon or evening to regroup and reset. And the other answer is to do what you can to maintain a light heart and be playful even within the illusion. Course in Miracles says that a lot of us are living a nightmare, and you may not be able to escape the dream overnight, but you can turn into a happy dream. So it's not the activities we're doing that wear us down, it's the resistance to it and the judgments against it and the fears about it. So the real healing occurs from inside out. And so this is what forgiveness is. Forgiveness means to withdraw the belief that some external person or entity or activity has power over our happiness or our consciousness. And to recognize that all of my well-being is sourced from within. And then you can move through the world in a lighthearted way without believing there's some dark force that can diminish you. And of course, it takes practice. I mean, you don't do it overnight, but somebody cuts you off in traffic. Do you call them a bad name and flip the bird? Or you just breathe and say, okay, let's get on with my day. Bless them, bless them, bless them, bless them, bless them. So, we turn these, I often say that every minus is half of a plus waiting for a stroke of vertical awareness. In other
I
words,
love that.
the hard stuff is just calling us to add a different kind of knowing to it that makes it an asset instead of a debit.
Mm, that's helpful. So it sounds like what you're pointing to too is that we can use ordinary life itself to actually allow it to become a part of the awakening. We can use the pain and
Yeah.
the the
Yeah.
suffering and the triggers, like someone cutting you off, and allow it to become part of awakening. Would you agree?
We have to.
Yeah.
There's
It's the
no other choice
curriculum.
that works, you know. A Course in Miracles tells us that, and you don't have to be a Course in Miracles student to get this. It's universal. That the fastest way to God is through healing our relationships. That that's where the rubber meets the road. And if you can really turn special relationships into holy relationships and dark stuff into light stuff, then you're going to progress at light speed far faster and more effectively than sitting in a cave for 30 years. Of course, as that works, that's a good method. But if you want to get on the express train, work your daily relationships. And once again, then it's not easy, but it works when you work it.
Yeah, absolutely. It can help. I don't want to say quicken, but just expedite and just using, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
especially relationships. It's a big
yeah,
part of our
yeah,
lives.
yeah.
Um, Going back to what you just said a few moments ago, because I noticed in your description as well was the phrase the release of a light heart. And I just love that because sometimes this spiritual path really can feel and become very serious and very heavy. And it can turn into just yet this
Yeah,
another subtle form of self-improvement. But your
yeah,
work really seems to bring it into a kind of gentleness and lightness. So I would just love for you to expand a little bit more and speak a little bit about
yeah.
that role of joy and lightness, how it plays in the awakening.
I've been thinking lately about a quote from Robert Louis Stevenson who said, "If your morals make you dreary, depend on it they are wrong. I do not say give them up because they may be all you have, but conceal them like a vice, lest they spoil the lives of better and simpler people." It's a mouthful, I know. But what he's saying is that the true spiritual path makes you lighter, not heavier. And we can get bogged down in rules and regulations and traditions and rituals that after a point they don't really serve us. Maybe they do for a while, but eventually we have to be guided by an inner compass rather than external edicts. Um, I'll tell you who my new guru is. I study with many, many gurus. My new guru is my barber. His name is Vic. He's 83 years of age. He has a, he turned his garage into a barber shop, and he's one of the happiest, freest people I know. He still surfs. He has a rock and roll band called Vic and the Victims. And he's just a beautiful, lighthearted, fun guy. We laugh our way through the haircut. We talk about politics and local events, and he can pretty much laugh everything off. And by the time I walk out of his studio, I feel like I'm healed. And only $25 for the healing session, haircut thrown in. So I have a great respect for a guy like that. We never talk spirituality, but we don't have to because he's just living at a joyful frequency, and it invites me to do the same when I come into his presence.
Mm, I love that. I love what you said. Just a little bit of healing with a side of haircut.
Oh, man.
Um, yeah, and I guess that brings to mind too. I've come to realize on my own path that it's not really about adding anything more. Although I think I believe that in the beginning I have to do more and I have to be very serious about the practice. But the deeper I get, the more I realize it's more of a subtraction or perhaps a relaxing out of what was never truly me to
Yeah.
begin with.
Yeah. A yogi once said that we started out fine, then we got defined,
Mm.
and now we're getting refined. So it's a homecoming. It's a return to our original innocence. It's not at all about doing, it's about being. We think if I can do enough, I can be enough. But the truth is, when you know you are enough, then you do enough. So it's a reversal of figure and ground and cause and effect. And, so the spiritual path should be making us, should be more about releasing than adding, releasing that which is not it for that which is it. So, I have less need for stuff than I ever did. I once had three properties that I owned, and it was making me miserable. It was just a lot to maintain it and pay for it, and neighbor issues and legal issues, yada yada yada. And then I just have a nice house now that I like, and I have a lovely partner and a dog who just brings me so much life. And I don't need that much more, really. I'm becoming more content. And the word content, I love the word content, because it means you contain. To be content is to contain. So I'm discovering more and more that I contain what I need. And when I contain what I need, I'm content rather than constantly reaching for more stuff to, more toys and bells and whistles.
Yeah, fulfilling
Yeah.
the ego's needs and wants and cravings and
I've
all
been
the
reading
things.
articles lately about school systems that are taking technology out of the classroom. And uh, they've been systematically removing phones and laptops, and kids are being asked to actually write with a pen and paper and add things, and took look at time with a round clock instead of digital. And they have found there's significant improvements in the students' performances and in their sense of well-being. It's a new trend. And it's like, okay, technology serves us. I mean, thank God for this technology. I'm so glad we can meet like this. I bless Zoom because I do most of my work out of my office in my home, and I look out at a nice lawn and it's beautiful. So I bless that, bless that, bless that. But there comes a point where too much of it clogs our brain and distracts us from being present and using our mind. A lot of kids are having AI write their essays for them. But so they're losing brain power. They're not learning how to think. So at some point we have to return to the technology God gave us instead of leaning out on technology that helps in many ways, but distracts in many other ways.
Mm, yeah, leaning in rather than the external. So, for someone listening right now who may be feeling really overwhelmed or disconnected or just tired of carrying so much internally, what would you most want them to know?
Hmm. So it's not all up to you, that we do not walk alone. One of my favorite lessons from A Course in Miracles is a sentence that says, ask 1,000 times today, who walks with me? And at the end of the workbook, the last line is, I will never leave you comfortless. And I think a lot of our hardship is believing that we have to shoulder the world. We have to take care of everybody. We have to prove ourselves. We have to show up for everybody. We have to be a savior. And that's just not true. I mean, we have to help, but we don't have to be the only one who's helping. I took a healing course with somebody, a great healer named Alberto Aguas, and someone had asked him, why do I feel tired after I do healings and burnt out? He said, because you think you're the healer. And I think that applies far beyond formal healing. It applies to mothering and teaching and anything. Um, as long as I feel like I'm the one who has to do that, that's ego. But if I allow spirit, if I trust spirit to work with me and through me and for me, then all kinds of, all kinds of stuff gets done that wouldn't get done if you had. My partner says, when I get bogged up and enrolling people for programs, she'll say, Alan, go to the beach. She said, you get a lot of, when we go to the beach, when you go to the beach, we get a lot of enrollment. And it's true, because if I'm sitting there trying to make something happen, yeah. But when I release and relax and open, then spirit sends all the right people for all the right purposes.
Yeah. Just allowing spirit to do the heavy lifting,
Yeah,
I think
hopefully.
is much of the journey. And sometimes the hardest, I know I've found that in my own when the ego just wants to push and like you said, make things happen.
Yeah, yeah, got it. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt.
Yeah. Got the postcard and everything. Yeah, but there's a time that it's time to just set that down because it's just too much suffering. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Alan, thank you so much. Gosh, that went by really fast. There's just something very comforting about the way you speak about this journey. It just feels less about striving to become someone new and just more about
yeah.
just gently remembering what's always been here underneath all the noise and the conditioning. So again, Alan Cohen's upcoming two-part series with the Center for Awakening is called The Crucial Identity Shift, or maybe he'll end up changing it. But it begins on June 8th. And if this conversation resonated with you, we would absolutely love to have you join us. And you can find all of the details in the show notes in the description below. Alan, again, I'm just so grateful that
Mm.
you were able to join me today.
Well, it's been lovely speaking with you as well. You asked great questions, and I think of these interviews as a kind of co-creation of higher consciousness. We each put in our energy and something magical happens that goes beyond our individual input. So I really
Yeah,
want to thank you for being a marvelous co-creator. And I'm looking forward to the two programs. I hope we'll get wonderful people who are really attuned to the vision of higher self.
absolutely. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Okay.
And we'll see you in a few weeks. It's
I'll
coming right up around the
see you
corner.
very soon for sustainable identity.
Yes, there we go.
Okay,
Thank you
take care.
so
Have
much.
a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful we could share this space together. Before you go, take a moment to notice one simple practice you can carry with you into the rest of your day. And if this podcast resonates with you, be sure to subscribe to the Awareness Podcast on your favorite app. Find us on the Center for Awakening YouTube channel, or stay updated at centerfораwakening.org/podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Center for Awakening, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting the journey of awakening to our true nature and the natural peace and happiness that are always here. You can explore courses, events, and many more resources at centerfораwakening.org.